Hi, this is Jeff Lamb. Welcome to my podcast. It's called Losing My Mind. See, I've had this really interesting life so far. I've done things that I couldn't even dream of when I was a kid, dreaming of what my life might be. Well, I figured I'd better start putting some of these stories down somewhere before I really do lose my mind. These won't be in any particular order, and they're mostly for me, so I don't forget. But you're more than welcome to listen in. And now, podcast number 4. Through my first marriage, I had a cousin named Charlie Amore. Charlie was a character. He's a great guy. And one time he calls me out of the blue, says, "Hey, Jeff, I've got 2 tickets to go see Gloria Estefan in Detroit. Would you and Shelley like to go?" Shelley was my wife. I said, "Shelley can't go. She's got class that night. She was going to U of M Flint." Then I mentioned that I have a friend named Kip Galloway who loves the Miami Sound Machine rhythm section. He'd love to go. He said, "Okay, it's a deal then. We'll go. We'll sit in my Haviland corporate seats." And I thought, great. We hung up, and I got thinking, maybe I can do better for him than that. Let's just see. Have some fun with this. So I got up my Gloria Estefan album, and down in the bottom corner was a phone number to contact Gloria Estefan's people. So I picked up the phone, and I called, and the guy says, "Hello?" I said, "Hi, this is Casey Kasem." He goes, "Oh, Casey, I know you are. I know your voice anywhere." And I said, "Yeah, listen, I've got a friend. He's going to the show in Detroit to see Gloria. He's already got tickets, but I'm just wondering if maybe we can get him backstage for a meet and greet." "No problem, Casey. What's his name?" "Well, his name is Jeff Lamb, and he's going to have 3 people with him in his group. And if you could just maybe secure 4 passes for them, I'd sure appreciate it." He said, "No problem, Casey. Anything for you." He says, "Okay, his name is Jeff Lamb." He says, "We'll have him all set up. Just have him go to the will call window, and they'll be waiting for him." "Well, thank you very much, Emilio. I appreciate it." So now, night of the show, I said, "Hey, we got to get there a little bit early." He says, "Why?" I said, "Well, we got some tickets to pick up at the will call for another show that I'm going to later in the month." He said, "Oh, okay." So we all get there a little bit early, and I go and I get the envelope, and I look. Woo, there's our 4 passes. So we start walking into the arena, and he says, "See up there on the side? Those are the corporate seats. Pretty cool." I said, "Yeah, that's great. Those are awesome seats." And I said, let's go this way for a second." He goes, "Where?" So we go to the edge of the stage. There's this great big goon Lucas standing there, some big bodyguard guy, and I whip out the passes. And he waves us through. Chuck says, "What's this?" I said, "Well, I call it a surprise." And we go back, and now we're in this meet and greet area. And I explained that we're going to meet Gloria Estefan. He said, "Really? That's really cool." And I thought, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Well, we're waiting, and nobody keeps coming out. Finally, her husband, I believe his name was Emilio, he comes out and goes, "Jeff Lane? Is there a Jeff Lane here?" And I'm thinking, oh, man, we're busted. And here's where I raise my hand, and somebody puts a handcuff on it. But we've gone this far, so I raised my hand. I said, "Right here." He comes over and goes, he says, "Jeff, Emilio Estefan." He says, "This is Gloria's husband here, and I'm telling you that Gloria is coming out. She's going to do a meet and greet, but she's got a little bit of laryngitis, so she doesn't want to talk too much tonight. So if you would bring your group back to her dressing room, she'd love to meet you." I said, "No problem." So we all head back to her dressing room, and we're standing outside of the dressing room. She's on the phone talking to Dick Clark. And I'm thinking, man, am I glad she wasn't talking to Casey Kasem. Anyway, she comes out and, "Hi, everybody." And we're, "Hello, how are you?" "Which one of you guys knows Casey Kasem?" And I said, "Well, I do." She says, "Well, how do you know Casey?" I said, "Well, he was in Flint for a while on WTAC and friend of my dad's, and I'm blowing complete smoke. None of it's true, as far as I know, and certainly as far as she knows." So we all got our picture taken with her, and now we're heading out to the corporate seats. And I said, "Charlie," he said, "What's that?" I said, "Those corporate seats are wonderful, and we could sit there." I said, "Or we could use these front row center tickets that just happened to be in the envelope that I didn't even ask for." So we sat in the front row and watched Gloria Estefan on Casey Kasem as a personal favor to me. But that isn't the first time that Casey Kasem had come in handy and helped me out. I'd been invited by this girl to go to a Lionel Richie concert. Now, this girl wasn't my type. She was a little younger than me. She was kind of big and not terribly attractive. But she says, look, I've got front row seats to Lionel Richie down in Detroit. So I thought, okay, pretty good bait pile. It's in Detroit. I don't know anybody. It was kind of mean thinking, but I said, okay, let's go. So I go to pick her up, and she says, oh, no, we're driving. I said, who's we? She says, well, me and my sisters. And I went, oh, okay. So out come her sisters, the three of them, each one prettier than the other, and they just keep getting prettier as they get in the car. And we get to Detroit. We're sitting in the front row for Lionel Richie. Sheila E. was his warm-up act. What an incredible show it was. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, man, this guy is so popular right now, and he's such a hot ticket that he could pick up the phone and get anybody on the phone he wanted. And I don't know why that thought came to my mind, but it did. So the show ends. I said, okay, well, let's head back to Flint. She went, oh, no. She says, we're getting a room at the Renaissance Center. And I said, for what? She says, no, all of us, we're going to go party there. And I said, oh, good, great. I don't know these people. Let's see what they've got in mind. And the blunts come out. They're sparking them up. The room's just blue. You can't see the other end of the room. I don't smoke weed at that point in my life anymore. And I was just bored out of my tree. I'm thinking, so this is hell. I've heard so much about it. And one of them just out of the blue says, you know, I think Lionel Richie's staying in this hotel. Well, I perked up. I said, let's call him. She said, yeah, right. I said, no, let's call him. They said, he's not going to talk to you. And I said, I know. But he'll talk to Casey Kasem. So I picked up the phone. I called the front desk. I said, hi, this is Casey Kasem calling. Could you please ring Lionel Richie's room? And the lady says, yeah, just a minute. And I said, well, could you please ring the Pontchartrain for me then? She said, sure. Pontchartrain? Hi, this is Casey Kasem calling. Could you please ring Lionel Richie's room? Just a minute, please. So I'm on hold for about 3 or 4 minutes, and she comes back. She says, apparently he's doing an interview with People magazine right now. Can he call you back? And I'm thinking, sure he can. I'm staying at the Renaissance Center, room flat rack 2x4, whatever it was. And so I hang up, and I'm waiting, and the phone rings. Hello? Casey. Yeah, this is Lionel's manager, and I just wanted to call and just verify a few things. I said, okay. He says, first of all, how are you spelling your name? And I wasn't even sure at that point. So I said, oh, is this a test? Is this a quiz? I said, look, if I called at a bad time, no big deal. I just wanted to call and tell him he did a great job tonight. He said, no. I just had to verify it was you. Now I know it's you. He says, hang on. He'll call you back. He's just wrapping up with People magazine. He'll call you back in a few minutes. So a few minutes go by. Phone rings. Hello? Casey, Lionel Richie, knock me out. I can't believe you'd call. And I went, well, I'm in town. You're in town? Knock me out. Why don't you come on over at the hotel we're partying? And I went, well, I'm really not myself tonight, which was true, by the way. I said, I'm not myself, feeling a little off. I said, but listen, I'm wondering if you could maybe do me a favor. He said, anything. What do you need? Well, I didn't even know what I wanted him to do at this point. I just wanted to get him on the phone. And so anyway, then I said, well, listen, I've got a friend. His name is Jeff Lamb, and he's a DJ up in Flint, Michigan. And I was just wondering if maybe you could sign a picture to him and drop it in the mail. He said, no problem. I said, maybe write something personal on there for him. He goes, no, absolutely, no problem. No, just what to write. What's his address? I said, his name is Jeff Lamb, and wasn't it a coincidence that he just happened to have my address committed to memory? Anyway, we talk a little more. He said, listen, seriously, I really wish you could come over. I said, well, no, I just called. I was at your show tonight. He goes, you were there? I went, yeah. He said, knock me out. Why didn't you come backstage? I said, well, again, I'm really not myself tonight. Just feeling a little punk. He says, well, if you can't come over tonight, he says, maybe tomorrow we can grab breakfast. I said, that sounds great. I said, but I've got an early flight. He goes, I do too. I said, what time's your flight? He says, 9 o'clock. I said, I'm leaving at 7. Maybe in Hollywood we'll hook up. He goes, okay. So we hang up. And the girls are just standing there. They can't believe it. Their jaws are hanging down. They can't believe I just got Lionel Richie on the phone. A couple days go by, and I get an envelope in the mailbox. Nice 8x10 envelope. I open it up, and it's an autographed picture of Lionel Richie. It says, Jeff, stay easy, Lionel Richie. And I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. So I'm telling people the story, showing them the picture. And about a month later, I get a big box on my porch. And it's about an inch thick, but it's big. It's big around, and I have no idea what this is. I'm thinking, well, why don't you take it in the house and open it and figure out what it is? So I opened it up, and it was a folded in half, life-size cutout of Lionel Richie holding his Dancing on the Ceiling album. And it said, Jeff, I talked to Casey. He said he never heard of you. But since you're such a fan, I thought you might enjoy this, Lionel. Quick sidebar, my brother Bob, remember I told you he lived in California for a while? Well, he was at a party and ran into Casey Kasem's son. And he's telling Casey's son this story, or both of these stories, and his son's face just turned white. And he says, tell your brother to knock that shit off. He said, that is illegal as hell. That's called payola. He never once got us tickets. He never once did anything like that for us because it was illegal. Tell your brother to stop it. Oops. Okay. Well, I haven't done it since he died, I promise. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And that's the end of podcast number 4. We'll see you next time on Losing My Mind.